Hello and welcome to Sleep Deprivation Anonymous. Today we think we have found the perfect solution to all of your sleeping problems. Yeah, just take your pamphlets here and here. Yes, see, today we are going to play the movie that is known on the internet as Speechify the Movie. That would be Free State of Jones. If you are not asleep by the fifth speech in this film, then clearly you cannot fall asleep at all, and you should probably just kill yourself. For everyone else, we have free pillows and blankets for you in the corner. Please enjoy, and this is not racist. Hello and welcome back to another midnight showing. As always, I'm Kelly, and I just got out of the Free State of Jones. Holy shit, that was a boring movie. Okay. I just have to ask this question. Why is this coming out now? Oscar bait season isn't for another 4 months. Seriously, why is this coming out in July? Probably because we all know that it was this was just way too shit for Oscar season. And that's not to say everything that comes out in Oscar season is gold either. Just take a look at last year. There wasn't the best of years. There were great movies last year, don't get me wrong, but most of the Oscar ones were not very good. So yeah, now we have The Free State of Jones, which follows the life and times of a man named Newt Knight when it doesn't want to cut to the 1950s for random reasons, so that he can show you how he went from Civil War Confederate soldier to rebellion, then to other stuff that really they should just stuck with the rebellion, because everything after it is just horrible. Seriously, the first 40 minutes of this movie is really good. I mean, solid performances from everybody throughout this whole piece of bore, but just saying the first 40 minutes is where they clearly had an idea. And then 20 minutes after that, you're like, okay, where is this film going? And then the hour and a half that happens after that, you're just like, oh my god, is this movie still going? When is it gonna fucking end? Yeah, this didn't know what it was doing. It didn't know where it was going, how it was going to settle this life, and it cuts to 1950 for some fucking reason that still boggles my mind. Even if it is an ancestor of Newt Knight going to jail because he wants to marry a woman, you know what? I don't fucking care. It has nothing to do with the Newt Knight story, the Free State of Jones that you're trying to focus on. So, I don't even fucking care about the 1950 shit. Okay, this is my final verdict. It's an honest to God skip it. This is so boring. It has no idea what it wants to do. There are genuinely good things about this film that are just so, I don't want to say buried, just meandering through it while everyone else is looking for a point in the plot. Look, this movie is a jumbled mess. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Nothing is. It's just so boring. You know what it's going to do, you know how it's going to end, because if this was going to end any other way than Newt Knight basically lost, wouldn't we be taught this in school? That's how important it tries to make it. And the first 40 minutes, as I said, is really good about a Confederate nurse trying to fight back, just leaves, basically, deserts, and spurs his county into a rebellion inside of Jones, Mississippi. It's okay. I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, my final verdict is honest to God, skip it. There's no reason to see this unless you are having problems sleeping, because this movie will bore you so goddamn much you will fall asleep after that first hour of the film. It is just so boring after that. Okay, so let's go into the actual film. Let's go into the positives. As I said, the cast does a good job. Matthew McConaughey I'm not a big Matthew McConaughey fan. I'm not, okay? I'm sorry. I have a penis. He just doesn't appeal to me that much. And I know what that just sounded like, and I meant every word of it. Because women fawn over him. Men tend to think, meh. he has some good roles. He has a lot of crap roles. And this is probably one of those ones that could have been a good role that could have earned him another Oscar. But instead, they didn't know what to do with it. After the first 40 minutes of the film, they didn't know what to do with it. So you have a genuinely good performance by Matthew McConaughey and basically everybody else inside this entire fucking cast completely buried underneath this meandering plot and story. It feels like something you'd watch on the History Channel, for God's sake. You know, no focus. It's just telling you the events that happen in order and then randomly cuts to 1950 because I still don't know why they cut to that, but that's going into the bad parts. But yeah, there are some genuinely good performances here, and they tried to do the whole, establishing the mood. There's a lot of Matthew McConaughey just sitting on a log, looking at the atmosphere, and just enjoying things. There's a lot of conversation, so you get a lot of a feel for the characters and the time period and how this all works out. It just, yeah. Going into some of the good stuff, I will say that, especially in the first 40 minutes, the budget for just the Civil War as it was, they did promote the Civil War pretty damn accurately. How they would just march in lines and just get shot at. The small little trench warfare things that they did do with their bayonets and whatnot. Very accurate. They didn't pull any punches when they were doing this. When someone gets shot in the face, it fucking explodes. It's not like modern day, gore fest, but, they show all the dead bodies. They have someone with his guts laying out, just sitting there. And then they get the people who are actually not initially dead back to the nurse's tent where Matthew McConaughey is trying to get them the attention that they need. And they showed the Civil War age medicine pretty damn accurately, where it is if, oh, I'm sorry, were you shot? We're going to have to amputate that and hope that you don't die of infection. Here's the saw! And they start sawing through it. Yeah, that's basically how medicine was back then, especially for those quick relief camps. It was not very pretty, and it was, more often than not, you'd just be losing a limb because they didn't know what else to do with it. So, yeah, that part is really, really good, really accurate. In fact, I could say that for a lot of this film. It is very historically accurate. It's just that, again, first 40 minutes is, him being the nurse, seeing his neighbor's son get drafted without knowing anything, trying to protect him only to have him die in his arms. So he takes this kid back to his mom, deserts the army, basically, which deserting the Confederate was as simple as just taking a mule and leaving. Okay. I guess it's that easy. I mean, everyone else just said go ahead, and they gave him some food like the hardtack, which is what everyone ate back then, which is, again, very historically accurate. He gets there, sees all the taxation collection people robbing everybody except for the plantation owners blind just so they can fund this war, which you understand exactly why someone like Newt Knight wouldn't want to be a part of this war. Just saying. He starts trying to protect everyone. He makes him a wanted man. He starts hiding with some runaway slaves, and he starts coming up with plans to start fighting back. And slowly but steadily, we see a revolution starting to form. As I said, this first 40 minutes is really good. And then they succeed in taking the 3 counties. And the North doesn't want to help them. So they end up having to let go of all the territory they won and travel back to the swamps where they know that the Confederates won't dare touch them. So, yeah. And then from there, it just meanders. It just keeps going. We don't know where it's going to go, because soon after that, the Civil War ends, and they briefly touch upon the whole master servitude laws that were introduced after the Civil War to try to reestablish the slave thing under a different branding. Excuse me. Which, even if you know history, that didn't last. That shit didn't last for more than a week before uh, uh, the North, the Union, actually realized exactly what the shit they were doing and put all of the southern states under martial law, sent armed troops to try to enforce the laws that they were establishing by winning this civil war. The only reason why it didn't work is because, well, more problems ended up creeping up and they had to pull back all of their soldiers. This is history 101. If you've ever taken a high school course in history or even a college course in history, you know exactly what happened. Why everyone left the South, which basically allowed them to put up dummy laws, intimidation, and voting registration laws like you have to be literate and all that stuff, was clearly just to keep these people down and beneath them. This all happened because shit was happening in the North. Things that we probably should have had some cutaway or know about, but you don't because they focus on Newt Knight, who moved and married a black woman, then his former wife, having no place to go, comes back, and yeah, it just... this movie just meanders after the very, very interesting parts about the Civil War and everything. You could have had... It just jumps from 6 months to a year at a time when we could have seen this entire revolution play out and, yeah, just have it basically end tragically, which would have been fine as far as the narrative goes. It just... they didn't do that. Instead, they kept jumping and jumping to different years and showing how Newt Knight was this big, important person, even though he really wasn't. Oh, and that 1950 stuff they keep cutting to, the whole point of it is basically to find out whether or not this guy is 1/8 black, because he's Newt Knight's second son. Even though he could have very well been the first son, for all I know, who disappears after she moves back in. Seriously, his former wife and his former son move into his current house because they're kin, even though they're not together anymore, which I don't think a divorce was ever issued, so polygamy? Kind of overlooked in this movie. But I'm just saying, they don't want to let them starve or anything like that, so they moved into the shack next door, and they basically grew up as together as family. They didn't know who the mother was, and this big old court case about marrying a black person, because in the 1950s you couldn't do that, especially in Mississippi, because how did John Oliver put it? Was it Alabama or Mississippi that John Oliver said is the last place that accepts the inevitable since 1832 or something like that? It's Mississippi. It's what it is. So that was the whole point of the 1950s. Whose son is he? Is he the black former slave woman's son, or is he the actual son from the first marriage? Which they don't ever definitively prove. All they do is find a Bible that has his name written in it. Whoopity fucking shit! Look, the whole thing is going to be rigged anyway. It's the South, and you're potentially black. You're going to go to jail regardless of whether or not you win. It's just facts. Face it. It's, the 1950 shit could have been cut from this movie entirely. If they wanted to have it inside there and wanted to actually build it, why didn't they open the movie in 1950, have them start the court case, and then have them flashback from there while reading like a deposition or something back to 1865, where the bulk of this story takes place. Instead, they wait like 30 or 40 minutes before they even cut to the 1950 stuff, and you're just like wondering, what the hell is going on? There's no framing device here. It just shows shit. There's pretty clear that they didn't know where to go or how to do what they were doing with this movie whatsoever. And genuinely good performances and a good opening 40 minutes is completely lost because of this hour and 50 minutes of bullshit that is just weighing this movie down. I don't hate this movie. I'm more disappointed with it because this had so much potential inside of it to be a great movie. I'm not a big fan of all these movies that basically say I'm racist because I'm white, because that's a racist statement of itself. But when they're done right, like Selma or 12 Years a Slave, where they actually do have a point where they're trying to talk about something about this. I'm not a big fan of 12 Years a Slave, but I will still say that acknowledging the fact that there were free people who were being basically kidnapped from their lives in the North and brought to be slaves in the South because of a loophole law that is actually taught inside of history courses, colleges, but at least taught, is something that we really should know about. To know how trap laws work and how they can do shit like this. Going on with this, it was still, I'm not a big fan of that one, but I will say that was still good. Selma, showing Martin Luther King, just showing that he is a man trying his damnedest to make the world a better place, to really fight for peace, but to show that he is still a man who gets bogged down, who doesn't know what to do all of the time, is still a very powerful message, especially when talking about this type of subject. This movie doesn't know what it's doing with that subject whatsoever. And it's a real shame, because this could have been a great movie. And instead, it's a bore fest. It's something you'd see on the History Channel and maybe watch for 10 minutes before changing it, because it meanders so much. So yeah, my final verdict on this one is, and honest to God, skip it. It had so much potential to be a good movie, a great movie even, but it just didn't know what to do with itself. So yeah, that's it for me. Have you seen Free State of Jones? Tell me what you thought about it in the comments below. Maybe we'll get some healthy discussion going. And as always, if you like what you see, be sure to hit the like button, the subscribe button, and share this video with your friends. Trust me, that sharing makes all the difference here. It helps me more than actually subscribing, so please do that. If you like what you see, be sure to hit the like button. Wrong section. Be sure to like me on Facebook. Follow me on Twitch and Twitter. I will get that right. And I do have some other things coming up. There is an unboxing video that I will have posted just before this one of a Loot anime that probably won't be a recurring thing, but I will have a few other unboxing videos just because I had a promotion and I thought, what the hell, I'll do it, and I'll let you guys see them too. So be sure to check that out. And I do have my other project I've been working on for a while. It is almost done, and that is not hyperbole or anything. It is almost done, and it will be out here soon. So, yeah, that's it for me. That's all the updates, and I'll see you all next time.